celestial babies. In today's video, I will be talking about pop culture paganism. First off, I don't want this video to have any toxicity. Everyone's practice is valid. Any negative comments will be removed. I want it to be very respectful in the community tab. Now, pop culture paganism, from what I have been seeing and reading about, it gets a bad rap. A lot of people think that it is invalid, that the idea of like worshiping or working with a fictional character is harming the whole paganism community or culture. Now, there has been a lot of debate with this, considering that there is things called egregores, there's thought forms, there's a lot of things that go into play with it. A lot of people also consider it to be a form of chaos magic. I do not personally know about this, but I thought it'd be worth mentioning. The main reason why I wanted to make this video is because I just found out that me explaining in my previous video on my channel that fictional characters are real and that they exist, I didn't know it would kind of fall under this category. And I also wanted to explain how I go about it, and some tips and tricks that maybe you guys can incorporate into your practice. Now, how I work with them, let's say Alucard from Hellsing. What I do is I usually, try to get in contact, like into a trance a little bit through my meditative state, and just try to get in contact with them. I usually have my spirit friends or my spirit guides with me, and something I really like is that when I have my spirit friends or my spirit guides with me, that kind of helps ground me in a sense, from kind of just going haywire. Because in my opinion, when you are working with fictional characters, it's good kind of like for reality checks sometimes. Kind of like the idea that someone could get spiritual psychosis from it. You do have to take breaks from it, in my opinion. I don't know if other people have done this, but it's something that I would suggest. And if I get into contact with Alucard, usually it's in the astral plane, and I get to mingle, explain myself to them, ask them questions, and so forth. When I am doing a reading for someone, I am picking up on the energies and the archetype of that character. Basically, the overall vibe that I get from them. And this can help me figure out certain things that I need to, use in order to write the letter. It helps me to get a better understanding of even their personality and also their characteristics, of course. Now, it's come to my attention that there is actually a lot of people that are using these fictional characters more or less as actual deities in their practice, which I didn't know, but I do think it's quite interesting that people in this community do that. I don't think it's bad, because in a sense, I guess like for me, I have a picture right there of Luca from Betrayal Knows My Name, in representation of how Lucifer looks to me. The character, his whole look and everything, and I know he even has like black wings in the anime, it reminds me a lot of how Lucifer was shown to me growing up, somewhat even now, but I don't depict the character exactly as Lucifer, if that makes sense. I use it solely as a representation of him on my altar. And I think it's perfectly fine if other people do that too. Or even if they actually, a good example, Loki from Marvel Universe, if they build a shrine to Loki. While it's not exactly like Loki, the Norse god, You know, I still think that it can be beneficial in a way to you know, to still do that type of work, if you will. I think it would be fine if you used it that as a representation for the god, but know that if you're wanting to work with the actual character, it's different from the actual god. But I don't think it's wrong if you want to use that as a representation for the god, like what I meant with how I do it. And I say this also because there's some people who use Michael Jackson as a representation for Archangel Michael. So I think it's quite interesting that, you know, you can do that within your own path. I can understand and I don't understand at the same time why this community gets such a bad rap. Just make sure you do your research and you do what you feel is right. As long as it's not harming anyone, I think it's okay, because everyone's belief and practice is always going to be different from everyone else's. I do know also that there can be times where a character can reach out. To me, though, it could be a little more harder to discern. If it's like an extremely rare character, though, that not a lot of people know, or rarely do they, if they only play like a certain game type of deal, and you for some reason find something out and about that's like associated with that character, and be like, huh, well, that's kind of odd, then, you know, I think it's a little more easier depicting if they are reaching out to you. And yes, they can reach out to you. But like I said, it can be a little more harder to discern, in my opinion. Also, to clarify a little bit with the egregore part, a lot of people say that, you know, with egregores, roughly in a sense, comes about if someone puts enough energy into it. If you guys have a better explanation of how they are, please comment it down below, because I am very bad at this. But it's very similar to what I was saying in my previous video on here, how that, you know, when you put energy into something, you know, you are actively creating something. I had heard somewhere too that, like, energy can be directed, but energy can't be destroyed. So I'd like to probably add that in there as like an idea. I know also, if you're, I guess, interested into this pop culture paganism aspect side into practice, I feel like when you do things like this, you find things that represent your god, your goddess, or even if you are wanting to work with a fictional character as a deity, I feel like it kind of helps your inner child, because you can use, you know, characters that you really love, that you really connect with, that you really look up to. You can get figures, toys, put them on your altar. You can make your altar just really just vibrant and loving, and I just feel like it's also kind of like a healing way of helping our inner child. There is a wonderful YouTuber on here that's called Molly Roberts. She even does a video on using pop culture into your practice, and I would highly suggest you guys to check it out, to see how she does it, and, you know, see if you want to incorporate that into your own practice. I know this video is probably all over the place, but, you know, I'm just trying to get my thoughts out into this video, I guess, in an organized manner as best as possible. But continuing on, also on the note that there have been people saying that pop culture paganism is hurting the community, the religion. Do they really have proof of that? I feel as if they're not appropriating a culture, that it's perfectly fine on what they're doing in their practice, as long as it's not hurting anyone as well.